Okay, welcome everyone to, what was it? Chapter
6.
And this is the part of the book. It's called A New Way to Heal, which is, last chapter, I said this is like a key chapter in the book, but this is also a key chapter in the book. Maybe they're all like key chapters. And this is it's like a short and sweet chapter. So I was actually going to read a little bit from the beginning, and then I asked Brendon to read a little bit from the end before we take questions, because it's something that's been coming up a lot during the other calls, this particular one, and it's a very different way of looking at being a healer and healing. So, stepping away from empathy, sympathy, and devotion. Do you know what an empath is? And could you possibly be one? An empath is somebody who has the capacity to heal. So I'm willing to say anyone who's read this far into the book is an empath. And as an empath, you have the ability to create change in people's bodies and in their lives. The change you create can happen on a person-to-person basis and on a planetary level. You are that powerful, that caring, and that much of a gift. Do you sense a however coming up? It's a very friendly one. Here's the thing about empaths, and this is not a criticism, just an observation from my years of working with so many and being one. In fact, what I'm about to share is part of the territory of being a body whisperer, and it's something I used to do too. As we looked at in chapter 4, in our efforts to help ease the pain and suffering of others, we have the capacity to take that pain and suffering on ourselves. And we can do that with the people we care about, the clients we see, and even strangers we meet or just pass by on the street. And often we do this without even being aware that we're doing it. You might have a session with a client who has a physical complaint like a frozen shoulder, and not long afterward, your own shoulder will start to ache. Their shoulder felt so much better, by the way, because you, in your effort to help, care, and heal, took their pain and suffering into your own body. It can happen with psychological symptoms too. Have you been around someone who's feeling depressed and you notice a wave of sadness overwhelm you just as they start to feel better? You took on their pain. On the one hand, you're doing something amazing. You're healing people. Those who come to you for change are thrilled because you've given it to them. But on the flip side, it's a temporary change. Their pain will come back. Why? Because they didn't choose to give it up. You took it away. Even though you did it from a place of caring, the key element is that you were led by empathy, sympathy, and devotion. And though you may never have realized it or played with this idea before, empathy, sympathy, and devotion are all superior points of view. Why? Because they place you above the person you're working on. When you empathize or sympathize with someone in pain and you devote yourself to taking the pain away, you're making you the most powerful person in the interaction. You're the one with the cure, the antidote, the remedy, and the other person needs you in order to feel better. Shining a light on the true nature of empathy, sympathy, and devotion presents us with a totally different way of looking at healing. And it's not at all about making you wrong for practicing from empathy, sympathy, or devotion. I know it stems from your caring. The thing is, I also know that you're capable of so much more. And it really comes down to this, the gift of choice. And then hopefully you've read, the rest of the chapter, but at the very end, there is like, how the fuck do we get away then from empathy, sympathy, and devotion? And Brendon, would you read that part before we start taking questions? And you are muted, so we cannot hear you.
There we go. Now you can hear me.
Yeah.
The here's how you be the energy, that part, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Here's how you be the energy. Your gift is to be with your clients with no judgment, from a place of total caring, and to see the brilliance and beauty of them. Be there as a space of being that is totally vulnerable. Be willing to walk through any of the trials and travails they've had or are having. Be a source for a greater possibility and support and nurture them to recognize that they have the power to choose. This way of being with people creates a change unlike anything else I know. Things will shift in their life, their body, their world, their psyche, their psychology, and previously seemed impossible. And it all stems from you practicing away from empathy, sympathy, and devotion, and instead choosing to be the awareness that they can overcome anything. See those you work on as the greatness they aren't able to see in themselves. It's not about saying it in words, it's a space beyond words. Words, especially compliments, are so often rejected anyway. Instead, you be the energy of the awareness of how great they are. And at the same time, you be the awareness of the energy of everything you yourself have overcome. When you're the awareness of the energy of everything that is truly possible, you give your clients the power to shift and change their entire world. The shifts and changes you enable them to create are absolutely phenomenal. Some would even call them miraculous.
And when I hear this, I still go to, it's so tricky not to do something. It's so tricky to just be something when you so want to help them and you so want to get what you're seeing.
Yeah, exactly. But the tricky part also is it's because it's so known, it's so normal to not be present in your life. So it's like you go from being the space that you are to that thing of, oh, now my shoulder hurts, or now I'm depressed, but it's it's so quick. It's that moment, and it takes one moment. That one moment that you're not willing to be present in your life is when you take on the pain and suffering of everybody else. And it's so interesting. Like this morning, I like that we're doing this chapter.
They always tend to fit very well. Yes.
Yeah, they always tend to fit well. I love consciousness, and it's like this morning I was just like, just me, just happy and full of energy and full of space, and just what can I create? And then I talked to somebody. And then I talked to somebody, and I really care about this person, and she was having a moment of no space and feeling weird, and I just went in a moment of not being present with my reality and being more willing to be present with hers. My space was gone.
Yeah. So the interesting part though is, like you say, we lose it in that split second. And somehow we also lose the capacity to ask a question.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. It's like it disappears out of our head. I had such a great experience with that. I was having my bars run during a body class, and Satu, my host, was running my bars. And I lay down and she started to run my bars, and my shoulder just started to hurt like a lot. And I was like, oh, what's going on? Maybe I should lay different. I try to move my body in different ways. And finally, when I set up, I said, maybe Satu, you could work a little bit on my shoulder. It started to hurt so much. She started to laugh and she said, that's my shoulder. I've had this like huge ache in my shoulder for days. It got better while I was running your bars. And I'm like, wow, consciousness is so amazing. I mean, that was such a good example to have in a body class, but we do that all the time. And most of the time I wouldn't have asked a question. I would just have gone, I must have laid wrong on the table. I must have done something. I wouldn't have asked where it comes from. And that particular part, that's like that, taking it out of them. So it's not often, and it's not always, a cognitive choice that we want to help them and take it out of them. We just do it without even thinking about it. And then we don't ask that question, who does this belong to, or what is this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that question, who does it belong to? And it's like that, like the thing that you said, it's like we lose our ability to ask a question, but we also make the pain, we make the drama, we make all of that more real than what's actually possible.
Yeah, and also what I do notice is there are some people that I can be around where they're just being and my whole body will change. Dain definitely, like hanging around Dain changes, like he doesn't need to do anything. He's just being, and bodies just kind of just unravel and dissipate stuff. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he takes that on anymore. He used to, but he doesn't anymore. And that, like, what would it take to be that, like that space and that energy where you are the source of change just by walking through the world?
Yeah. And that one, you can't figure that out.
No.
You know, because that's that thing of how do we get to it? How do I stop doing this? Well, it's got to start with that, with the question of what would it take? What would it take for me to be that? You know, and I've had this over, I've got a lot of experience with this whole how thing over the years and years of doing access. Like I would get an awareness of a different space, like say this, for example, of talking about, but it's like, but I just automatically do it. I just take the shit out of everybody else's world and their body. How do I get to it? And then I would put my energy into trying to figure out how to get there rather than recognize that it's the question that it was almost this, well, not even almost, it was this thing of it's too easy.
Yeah.
It's too easy to be the question and receive from the universe.
I just realized where the word quest comes from. It comes from question. That is so awesome. Because I was thinking when you said that, it's like a quest. We're like on a quest to become like a different, but it comes from the word question. You know, being non-English speaker, maybe all you English speaker already knew this, but I just love that. Quest and question. Yeah. So, but this thing where we actually nearly become, that's how we heal people, but that's also something we never even acknowledge. That's like worth nothing. It's not, because it's not something we do or something that we claim or acknowledge. So that's also, I think, why we've trained ourselves not to even ask a question about it. It just is ours. If it feels in our body, that's where it is.
Well, you know what I got to, that thing with, we haven't claimed or acknowledged it, but so many of us look for the validation for it. And so looking for people to validate that you're a healer, for example, or that you have that capacity with bodies, then in order to get that validation, you have to take the pain out of somebody else's body. It's like, look at me, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, thinking that that's the way to get the validation, rather than, if you're willing to acknowledge it, you wouldn't actually have to lock it in based on the structure that's the judgment of validation.
How many actually on this that are on here right now would comfortably put up their hand and say, I'm a healer?
Me.
So that particular part, that took me years to get there. That's not that's not something I would have said when I started Access that I was a healer. That's just, that was way too much, actually. I could maybe read to it or get to it. So I'm getting, there's people's hands are coming up both in the Zoom and also around here. So we're all jumping around. So Rooksy, do you actually have a question, or are you putting your hand up because you can say that you're a healer? You muted. You have to unmute yourself. Can someone help Rooksy? Can she? Oh, she can.
Because I'm a healer, and it. Yeah, did you hear me?
Yeah, now we hear you. Go for it.
Yeah, so just before the call started, I don't know, I started picking up someone's illness or something, and I got very heavy. I started perspiring, and I thought I'm going to pass off. And it happened to me few times before this incident. So just like you're telling, I might be taking somebody's pain or illness or something that I'm picking up.
you want to go there,
Okay.
Brendon?
Yeah. So, okay. So let's start with, okay, is it yours?
No.
Have you decided it's yours?
No.
Okay. So will you let it go now?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Okay. How's that? Any different?
Yeah.
You know, I love this because this is such an example of where you can ask yourself until
Yeah.
you like fall over, is it mine? And not get anywhere. And then somebody else asks you, and suddenly you get that clarity. And that's actually that space of being, Brendon, is being for you. And then you can tap into that.
Yeah. Well, and that's what would it take to be that for yourself also. And I do get that, what you say, Kat. It's like, you know, I've asked myself this 10,000 times.
Yeah.
It doesn't change. Damn it. You know, and then you have somebody else. But see, the other thing with that is you have somebody else ask you from no point of view. And so when you're asked a question from space, there is no way to, the lie becomes not that there is no value in the lie. But it's like so many times with ourselves, we've already somewhere decided it's ours. So then the question's basically redundant. It's just, blah, what question? I'll ask it because I have to, but I've already decided it's mine. So I would say with this is like when you get that energy, when it's not changing, everything that a couple of things, everywhere that I've decided this is mine and judge this as mine, right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds, but also everything that allows this to exist, I now destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
Oh, it has lightened even more. Like,
cool. Awesome.
Feeling much better.
Cool.
There's somebody there who has a Chinese name that is just in the chat. There's some, and it talks about the drinking, and you can pick up, you can actually, if you go to a bar, and if you have that capacity, you can suck all the alcohol out of people and get very drunk without even drinking, like all of that. And I just, if you, like Brendon is saying, if it keeps coming back, you also have to choose to let it go. There is a choice element involved at some point. And I think that's where what Brendon was talking about in the beginning, where we actually kind of also want to prove that we can. So since we've never been acknowledged for being able to take things out of people's bodies or healing them that way, there's still like, there's a part of us that kind of want to prove that we still can somewhere. So that particular part makes us also, did I really? And then we do it again to kind of prove to ourselves that we were right the first time when we were taking it out of them. So that person there who keeps getting drunk from calling somebody who's drunk, would you be willing not to prove that you can take alcohol out of somebody and actually let it go back to that person? Right now, I'm going to pop up all night shorts, boys and beyonds. And Julie, yeah, you can use it as a capacity. You can use it, you get tipsy without having to pay for it. Very true, as long as you know what you're doing. There was another question there too. Vicky said you were a healer and now you're not. So you've given up your healing capacities? I don't know if Vicky is.
Yes, I did. I give up my healing capacities because I thought I took too many pain.
Too much pain out of people.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I wonder if, yeah, you go, Brendon. I saw you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. How's your life going since you so-called gave up this capacity?
It doesn't go nowhere.
Doesn't go nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. So a couple of things.
Still.
First of all, you cannot give up a capacity because it's part of who you are. So trying to, and the thing with that is too, is when you have the judgment of the capacity, this is bad, this is wrong, I don't want to heal people anymore, it's just pain and suffering, then you will, in order to diminish that capacity, you will use it against yourself.
Okay.
So all the decisions, judgments, conclusions, and computations you have come to about this, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. Apparently you're not the only one doing that one. I wish I could not be a healer. I wish I could not be a healer. I wish I could not be a healer.
That's why they're in this book club. They want to know how not to be a healer.
Yeah.
How do I get out of this?
Next book idea, how not to be a healer
Yeah.
for all you humanoids who like taking the pain and suffering out of the planet. So I would suggest changing your question from how do I get out of this to what would it take for me to have ease with this?
Okay. I will do this.
Okay, good.
It's a good question.
Okay, right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, millions. And see that one thing there, that's all it takes is change your point of view. You know what? That doesn't work. My life stopped. Okay, I'm over that shit. Done.
Okay.
And there's a lot of lies and like misapplications around even being emphatic. I can't say that. Empathic or having empathy and sympathy. So when I grew up, I was very validated for having a lot of sympathy and empathy.
Yeah.
Like that was like two of my strong sides that people liked. And I often got told that even like in school that you understand people so well, you have so much sympathy and empathy. So it took me, like when I started to do Access, that fact that sympathy and empathy was actually superior positions, it took me years I was like, it's like, and it really, really is. And once you start to get there, like there's a whole new world that opens up that is way more about empowering. And that particular one, everywhere where any of you have decided that being sympathetic and empathic is something good and right, can we uncreate and destroy that? I don't get about purple. Yeah.
Oh. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and millions.
And it doesn't mean it's like bad and wrong then. It just means that decision to make it right, perfect is what's sticking you.
Well, and it's also such a misidentification of what caring is. I mean, we've all done it to some degree in our lives. I mean, when I was growing up, I grew up with two sisters, and they, when we were much younger, they both got abused, like sexually, and quite full on, like sexually abused. And it was just, as a kid, it was like all I wanted to do was take the pain out of their world. That was all I wanted to do. It was like, it could have killed me, it could have done anything. Give it to me, I can take it. But it's that point of view of give it to me, I can take it, that keeps it, that was what I saw as caring. And to a big degree, that is caring. But that's where a lot of us get ourselves stuck, is this thing with, okay, because how many of you know that you could handle the pain and suffering of everybody else around you? You know you can handle it. You're like, yeah, fuck it, give it to me. You're all weak and pathetic. I can take it all. Everywhere you brought that point of view, and everything that you've done to, everywhere you brought that point of view, will you destroy and create it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And that thing, like it talks about in this chapter, of like empowering people and giving, allowing people to see that they have choice, is the true gift that's going to create something greater in their life. And for a lot, you're probably all also kind of a little bit maybe controlling, also a little bit, lot. You know, so to watch somebody that you care about making choices with their body or their life, that you have an awareness of the future that choice is creating, how much do you want to stop them from making that choice?
Yeah.
As if that's caring. But see, it's in that choice that they get the awareness of what they are creating with their life, so that they can actually change it. So everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and
I'm
wrong,
gonna
good and bad.
fuck all night short twice and beyond. Finally got it. I'm like super slow.
Well, I was just going with it, you know.
Yeah. Let's read that. There is like a really cool clearing in the book too. So I'm just gonna run it.
Okay.
Everything you've been doing to create the wrongness of you as a healer, the wrongness of you as somebody who facilitates change, and the wrongness of you as somebody who can't do enough for enough people in a short enough amount of time to actually change the world in the way you know is possible. Will you destroy and create it all?
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, millions.
I didn't run on anyone. So yeah. And I think this is like this particular part that we've been talking about, that because when we function from that sympathy, empathy, and devotion, we take it away from them. We actually take away their choice. If there's nothing else from this chapter that people get when they read it, that is such a big thing, because that is the empowering of all of access, like empower people to know that they know, and empower them to change their own lives, not having somebody change it for them. So, and that's part of why this is a whole different paradigm of healing, because it's about you as a healer are empowering the client, even that you're working on, to heal themselves, to choose something different, increase their awareness, the space, or whatever they function from. Yeah.
And the more you can move beyond that, that idea that you need validation, the easier it is to see the long game in it also. Like it's easy to, you know, if somebody comes in and, oh my God, my back hurts, blah, 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 fix, you know, you could heal them in 10 minutes. You're the best healer on the planet from their point of view, because you've just healed them in 10 minutes until tomorrow when they recreate the same pain. Or you start being that energy, like it talks about in that chapter, being the energy of what you've been through and how you've gotten through that, and being that energy of seeing the brilliance that they are. And then all of a sudden they make the choice to change it, rather than you make the choice to take it out of them. And their whole, not only that part of their life changes, not only that part of their body changes, but they get an awareness of so much more because they chose it.
And then before I forget, so Radhika was asking in the thread here, she's been coughing so much lately, which is not going away even with medication. And this also is part of, if you're taking stuff out of other people and it's not yours, it is very tricky to get it away with medication. So one of the key questions there would be, is this yours? Or are you coughing? Who or what are you coughing for? You know, start to ask a few questions around that and see what can change. Because this particular capacity that we have, if we don't acknowledge it, then we basically trip ourselves continuously. Well,
you know, one of the things that you said, one of the things that you read out that's in that chapter, that kind of big thing is that this works on a planetary level also, because you would go, yeah, but it's like, yeah, but I've got like a pain in the back and I don't know anyone who has a pain in the back. You're on a planet with 8 billion people. And so it's like, and now more than ever, with what's going on with people's bodies, with the vaccine, with COVID, with all of that stuff, with the separation, with all of it, is how much are you aware of all of that? I mean, I just got back from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and it's interesting down there. They've got, you know, it's one of the most highly populated, vaccinated cities on the planet. And so and they also do this thing of getting vaccinated, but then hiding it because they think it's bad. There's just a whole lot of shit going on down there. So all I wanted to do for 2 weeks was sleep.
Yeah.
And I could pock and pod till the cows come home about taking it out of their body, but it was also an awareness of the density in the city. So the other thing with this is it's not about, oh, we'll see, it didn't change and going to the wrongness of you. It's going, okay, so what am I aware of that I'm not acknowledging? And if you're in a city like that, you're going to be aware of, see, the thing that locks it in is when you go to feeling. As soon as you go to feeling, you go to the judgment that it must be yours. And as soon as you go to the judgment that it must be yours is where you lock it into your body. You can still sense it and be aware of it, say for a city like that, and go, wow, I have an awareness of so much tiredness in this city, so much density, so much lack of space. What's the difference between that and I feel tired, I feel dense, and I feel no space? So everything that you're doing to create the feelings of the awareness that everything that you're doing to create the feelings of what you're aware of so that you can judge it as yours and lock it into your body so that you can keep it, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yes. Right now I'm getting about Papa Nine Shorts, Boys and Beyonds. I think what you just said, that little piece that you just said, I think we should transcribe that and actually send it out, because that is the key. That's what happens. That's why we lock things into our bodies with the feelings and then the judgment, and then it's there. And still we keep forgetting it. Like I see like a lot of you guys' questions are very similar to that. So it's kind of like going step by step backwards and checking, okay, what did I choose? What is this? What do I do with it? Can I change it? And what would it take to change it?
Yes, good questions.
Those four are amazing questions for this too. So what is this? What is this cough? What can I do with it? You know, can I change it? And if yes, what does it take to change it? Like, use the questions to explore what's going on with your body. I also wanted to say that I find that we are very impatient as humanoids, and we tend to think like there should be a quick solution to the problem of me having the capacity to take pain or suffering out of other people. But what if it isn't a problem? And what if it is like a superpower that you are finally aware of, and now you're learning how to use it? And that's what's actually going on. It's not a problem you have to solve. It's a capacity that you've never learned to wield, you know?
Well, it's like if you just get given a bazooka and you keep shooting yourself in the head with it, then it's going to hurt. But then if you turn the bazooka around, you know, it's a little bit of a different tool, a little bit of a different thing that you've got there as a power. And that's the thing, is it's like we keep using these capacities, and like, I can't remember the lady's name before, but it's like we keep using these capacities against ourselves when we're not willing to be it.
Yeah. And I think this in particular, the fact that acknowledging, yes, I can heal on a personal level, on a planetary level, that's the word. And then, okay, so I know that now. So in what way would I like to use this? And how can I play with it even? Like if you know that 99% of the things going on in your body actually isn't yours, just like the thoughts in your head, how many more questions could you be asking on a daily basis?
Well, and the thing that you just said there, because it brought up a very interesting energy when you said, if you know that 98% of the thoughts, feelings, and everything that you lock into your body, basically. But so how many of you think that's bullshit? Everything that you're like, me, hello, everything that is times a godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it. You're like, he's on to me. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And I get that too, because you go, like, I did this for so long with different tools and access, and go, yeah, well, I get that interesting point of view and blah blah, you know. And so I'd say it and do the tool, but I didn't actually believe it. I still thought, and a big part of it for me was I liked having control. So, you know, I'd be like, well, let me act as if I'm using the tools, and let me appear as if my life is changing, and let me appear as this, and blah, 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 blah. And that's a whole nother story. But it's like, but also there was this thing of, it wasn't that I didn't know that this was true. It's that I didn't want to believe it.
Yeah.
Because the thing with,
Yeah.
and you've heard us all talk about with knowing what's true for you is always lighter, always.
Mm.
And knowing what's not true for you is always heavier, always. So the idea that you don't know, that you know or not know, that you know or not know is a lie. So but we do this thing of going, I know that lightens my world up to hear you say it, but I also don't believe it.
Yeah. And one of the most seductive parts is the tools are so powerful and so dynamic that your life will still change. Your life still changed, Brendon. Like it changed amazingly,
right?
Even though you were just doing the tools. But what's really amazing is when you start like going there, because I'm definitely not there, but going there to be the tools, the change, the transformation that's actually available, then you're like at the fingernail when you're just doing the tools. And that's what's so amazing about like practicing access tools, not using them to get an outcome. Like, there's certain things we decide, maybe a lot of people come to access for an outcome, like to find a partner or get thinner or get more money, like whatever. But then they start using the tools and they start actually seeing that there's so much more available. And then there's like a whole next step when you start actually, like you're saying, believing or knowing that the tools are actually on a whole different level, they work.
And also
that's why bars is so amazing, because bars is not cognitive. You can't cognitize bars. So you get bars and you have a different space after. It's like undeniable. You just know it's different. So that's like a tool you don't just do. You can't just do bars. That doesn't work. It just, it's such a gift. Anyway, back to you, Brendon.
Well, no, I forget what I was going to, I was going to say, I tell you what, in the last 2 months, I am definitely getting very close to losing any brain capacity that I have. So talking is what I'm learning to do now is speak English, which is an interesting, I could speak other language. Maybe I should learn that. But the thing with this too is the more you're willing to get out of your own way, the easier it is for you to receive what the universe has to gift you. So then, because I notice the energy that brings up, because like, well, where am I in my way? Where am I not in my way? How do I get out of my way? And it goes straight into your head. Ask for it.
Yeah.
What what energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, and possibilities can I be to be out of my way for all eternity with total ease? And everything doesn't allow it, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, millions. And any of those things that come up, the moment that you go to how to, or the stress or the thinking, the figuring it out, just go, okay, so what would it take for this to change?
Yeah.
And then find something else to do. Any of those things too that you're stuck in and you're going, okay, how do I figure this out? How do I figure this out? How do I figure this out? Take one moment and get present with yourself and go, okay, universe, consciousness, will you show me a different way with this, please? I'm asking for a miracle. Do something else.
And I love, Maria, you wrote, I just remember that when I was like 4, my mom used to grab my hands and put them, I guess, on her head because she had awful migraines. And every time I listen that I'm a healer, you go back to that, because that's actually a moment that's when as a kid, you're willing to know that if I put my hands on my mom's head, the migraine will get better. It's when we do it very automatically. If somebody falls, we put our hand there, it will get better. But there's no investment in the outcome. It's like such a soft energy. So that softness of knowing, it's not a forceful knowing. It's just like the whisper of yes. Like it's so because we also, since we're impatient, most of us, we also go like a demand should happen now, and now my knowing should come, and we're like force it to come. But it really is kind of like when your mom put her hands on your head. It's like you just know, and you don't need to do anything. You just need to have your hands there, and you being a space that makes it better for her. That's like, that's all it takes. It's like Brendon said at the very beginning of the call, it's too easy. It's just too easy.
Well, I have a question with that too, because that was when you said that thing of like, you know, at 5 and you put your hand on your mum's head and you're not vested in the outcome, and all of a sudden you're not vested in the outcome. She's actually willing to receive.
Yeah.
And it changes. But my question with that is, for how many of you, at what age was your healing capacity invalidated?
Yeah.
That everything that is times a godzillion, when you destroy and uncreate it.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys and beyond. So everything that you decided then to invalidate your being, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. And everything that you're doing now to seek validation to get that being, to get that back, that healing back, will you destroy and uncreate that?
Yes. Whew.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds.
Oh, that's, yes, that. And Maria, did you want to ask something? I saw you had your hand up.
Yes, please, because yesterday I had a client, and I'm always hungry for clients. And I had a bar session, and she was a completely different person when she got out. But today, this morning, I was trash. And then when you were speaking about superior beaching, and then this thing about my mom and my hands in her forehead, and I jumped straight into the bars. And I went like, what am I doing? Because you see, you tell me I'm a healer, and I say no. And I always have like pain in my back.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Please do so.
Are you a part-time healer?
Yeah.
Everything that is, everywhere you've decided it's something you can switch on and off, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Please.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod. And you're not the only one. Pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, millions. That's funny. I'm just gonna like be a healer for like 3 hours a day, and the rest of it, I'm not doing healing on anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Including myself, obviously, because anyone actually includes you. So you cannot heal yourself either, except when you're on. That's
so
awesome.
Maria, what did you say at the start? That you had a what session?
A bar session.
Yesterday I had a bar session, and the lady was just like, she left like she was like a queen. And this morning I woke up, I was like completely
okay, so all right, so let me ask you another question. Did your awareness this morning have anything to do with the bar session?
Yeah.
Okay, so everything that you're aware of that you were unwilling to be aware of, will you destroy and uncreate that?
Yes, please.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, millions. And everywhere you were trying to gift the bars and not receive them because you were gifting them, will you destroy and uncreate that?
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So this thing here, and thank you for bringing it up, this is where we have to get out of feeling. So it's like, because you'll wake up in the morning, you know, you'll have this phenomenal bars session, and you've got somebody and they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. It's like my whole world shifted and blah, 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 you know, and you get that and you receive that, like you go, oh my, that's amazing. But then it's like, but then you'll get an awareness of all the stuff, let's say, that's not fun and wonderful, because you've decided it's not fun and wonderful. You won't receive that because it doesn't feel right. So the more that you can get out of feelings and go, oh, holy shit, I feel like I've been hit by, like, well, notice even I said it, I feel like I've been hit by a truck. or I feel like shit, or I feel so weird, or I feel this, or I feel this, I feel this. Okay, what am I aware of right now that I'm not acknowledging? And don't ever let it stop you. Just go, oh my God, how much fun can I have with this? And I'm only just starting to get this one a lot more too, because it's like you'll go from this massive space to, oh my God, I feel so weird, to now I'm going to stop creating my life because I feel weird.
I also want to add something that when I start to facilitate, thank you. Sorry.
You're welcome.
Went
Pleasure.
in, moved on. I did this thing of trusting the body process. So for example, bars, and any body process you do. So it's kind of like, we don't think it's enough, even when we get bars. So we try to like add on some extra. And it took me like, when I started to facilitate the body classes, I realized that the body process will do most of the work. Like, I don't really, I'm there, I'm being a space. But what really changes people in a 3-day body class is the body processes. And it's the body processes that they are running on each other. And I was running bars on a very hesitant, not very like, he kind of willing to get his bars run, but not that interested. And he lay down and he started to talk continuously. I'm like, so I kept talking. And then suddenly he just basically just shut up and started to receive the bars. And in my head, it came like, trust the bars. They will always deliver. The bars will always deliver. You don't have to even try to get people. The body processes that we have in Access, they truly are where you just need to be the space and then trust it to work.
You just need to be the space.
Yeah. And so everywhere where we don't even think that's enough, us being the space and the body process that we have access to, because we always think we need to be more. We're always like insufficient gifting. Can we uncreate and destroy all of that?
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
Whew. Thank you, Maria. How did it get so lucky for you to have, like, all of you to have these questions and things going on so that we can go somewhere that's consciousness in action? I think we may have time for one more question. Does anybody want to ask? So Astrid, you have a question.
I love it. Recently, I run bars every day. My mother said I rely too much on this tool.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like something a mother would say. Yeah. Don't go and get too happy and be too out of control, so I can't control you anymore, you little bitch.
I really think whoever wrote that, you should start drinking a little bit more every day and maybe go out smoking some pot, just to show her that you're not just dependent on bars, you're also dependent on alcohol and drugs and things like that. That'll make her way calmer, much better. Go for it. Debs, do you want to ask something?
Hi, thank you. Can you talk about like over delivery, like just giving too much when they can't receive it?
That's a great idea.
When you just over deliver because it's like, just because there's so much, and then I know I'm like trying to reel it in, but by then it's too late and I'm just giving it anyway.
Well, you could ask yourself this, okay, so what am I trying to prove with this over gifting?
And one question that is really cool to ask before any session, any class is like, what energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, and possibilities can I be to give them everything they're willing to receive and not more than that?
Oh, I do that.
Yeah. Well, so are you being that space?
Yeah.
No. You're not. You're not being that space if you have a projection or expectation. So it's like, so recognize it. And then that's where you got to look at it and go, oh, okay, Jesus, I'm trying to prove something here, or whatever that is, but go, okay, so what can this person actually receive?
And what's stopping me from being that space, because something like Brendon is saying, like something is stopping you from being the space where you're only gifting them what they're willing to receive, maybe approving or whatever it is that's stopping you.
So let me ask you a question, Debs. Are you willing to acknowledge the gift you are?
Definitely.
You are?
I am.
So why do they have to receive it?
I don't understand that. What?
Okay. Why do they have to receive it? If you're willing to acknowledge the gift you are, why does it matter what they receive?
It doesn't. I suppose it's more from the space of that earlier conversation where like you're aware of they could receive so much more. And actually that's more of a past reference. It's actually not that anymore. I'm much more, oh, they're going to choose it or they're not. They're going to receive it or they're not.
Cool.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is that tendency, and maybe that's the past reference also, to over deliver.
And sometimes when we're aware of something is when we've actually stopped doing it, because when we're still doing it, we're often not aware of it. So maybe you're becoming aware of this, and that's why you can even say it, because you now know you've been doing that and you've stopped doing it. Like at least like, because as long as we're not aware of it, we're usually blind to it. That's why we need somebody else to point it out. But when we become aware of something, we see it, and then we see that we've done it, and then we can actually choose not to do it if we're willing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cool, thank you. So last question, Mariori Maril.
And can I just say something, Julie? That's cool. Keep running your bars, because I think you're cool, and I kind of like having you around. So that's awesome that you're changing that. Congratulations.
And that line, I think I'm saving my own life right now. It's beautiful.
Yep, that's cool.
Thank you. I missed that one. Thank you, Brendon.
Thanks, guys, for calling on me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Marjorie.
Okay, great.
Marjorie.
So my question is, I know I'm a healer, and unfortunately, I can't seem to get past the childhood abuse around money. So I wonder what will it take for me to be able to receive lots and lots of money for my gift as a healer. It almost seems or feels like, is this right? This is a natural thing I have to do. Should I really charge for this? And it's just money tends to elude me. So what can you guys speak on that?
Okay,
Can I just want to say something. There is a whole chapter of that in the book. Have you read it, Marjorie? It's coming a bit later.
I haven't gotten to that chapter.
It's a whole
get
chapter.
To that one.
And it's also the chapter where we will have Dain on. It's
cool.
a chapter that he will be on talking about. So I would read that chapter because it's such a big thing. And I didn't want to mean to interrupt you, Brendon. I just wanted to bring up that
I'm glad you said it, because that
it's an area, and it's an area that Dain looked at a lot. So what if you started by reading that, Marjorie, and then ask your question again when Dain is on that time?
Oh, that's awesome, because I call him my son from another mother. He likes that. He always puts a heart on there. I love that. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
It's chapter 12. It's chapter 12, and it's called Knowing Your Value as a Healer. Do you deserve to get paid? So it's basically exactly your question. So come forward and read it. That would be my.
I will definitely do that. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
I think, do you want to add anything else, Brendon?
No, I think that was awesome.
Yeah, it's a really cool conversation. Thank you, everyone. And next time, we are going to dive into healing with chaos, and we will have Connor Hill, to talk about healing with chaos, which is a perfect combination actually as well. So please come on and explore that as well. And Brendon, thank you so much. I love how consciousness put you at the exact chapter that is relevant. Yeah.
Me too.
And so see you guys next week. And
Thank you all.
thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.